In the year 2000, the United States dollar made up 71% of every dollar, every euro, every yen sitting inside the world's central banks. Today, that number is 56%. No headline announced this. No president gave a speech about it. It happened quietly, one quarter at a time, inside a database almost nobody checks, the International Monetary Fund's reserve currency report. This is the story of what happened after the petrodollar. Because an agreement expiring is one thing. But what the world's central banks did next, that is where the real story begins. In 2022, something happened that very few people outside of finance ever noticed. Western governments froze $300 billion of Russia's foreign reserves, almost overnight. To most people, it looked like a single political decision. To central banks around the world, it looked like something else entirely. It looked like a warning. If one country's dollars could be frozen by another government's decision, then every country holding dollars was holding something that could one day be taken away. So they did something simple. They started buying gold, not in small amounts. In 2023, the world's central banks bought over 1,000 tons of gold. In 2024, they did it again. In 2025, they did it a third time. 3 consecutive years above 1,000 tons has never happened before in modern monetary history. Gold cannot be frozen. Gold cannot be sanctioned. Gold does not need another country's permission to exist. And here is something almost no one talks about. China officially reports holding around 2,300 tons of gold. But independent analysts who study central bank buying patterns believe the real number could be more than double that, possibly over 5,000 tons, bought quietly through channels that are never publicly disclosed. We cannot confirm that number. No one outside China's central bank fully can. But the gap between what is reported and what analysts believe is real, that gap itself tells a story. A story about a country choosing not to show its hand. So where does this leave the dollar today? Still standing. Still the most used currency on Earth. 56% of global reserves is still more than the next 4 currencies combined. This is not a collapse. Nothing about this story is a collapse. But for the first time in 30 years, the direction is no longer a question. The line on the chart only moves one way. 50 years ago, one handshake in a desert decided how the world would pay for oil. No handshake decided what is happening now. No single leader signed this. No treaty exists for it. It is simply numbers, quietly adding up, in a direction that no single government fully controls. That may be the real lesson buried inside the history of every money system. Money does not usually collapse with a single dramatic moment. It slowly stops being trusted, one decision at a time, by people who were never in the room when the rules were written. The petrodollar took 50 years to build and 50 years to quietly come apart. The question now is simple. If the world's central banks are already preparing for a system that does not depend on one currency, what happens to everyone else who has not started preparing at all?